People were a little sassy this morning. Wow.
No.
Maple Grove,
Yeah,
they're
it was a lot
sassy.
What's going on?
I do not want your help, Doctor.
Okay.
Dang.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Sassy.
Hi, guys. Thanks for joining. This is Essence of Life. Today, we're talking about India, the rising star. My name is Amanda Armagas.
My name is Alyssa Haber.
I'm Dominic Moore.
and I'm Dr. Abbasi for Essence. Now, who has been in India? Oh,
Nice.
half of us, 50% of us have been in India. And that was for me the first time to be in India. So let's start with Dominic. When you hear India, what comes to your mind?
Man.
Just be honest.
Just throw whatever.
Curry and the cardiothoracic surgeon who was very nice to me.
Oh, good.
Oh, good for you.
No,
Very
we are going to
specific.
come back to both of that because you mentioned
I have
something
very
more
different.
important than most of people can even imagine. Curry and cardiothoracic surgeon. Okay, what comes to your mind?
Well, I grew up in the Cheetah Girls era, so my first thought is instantly Bollywood.
Yeah.
Bollywood, you know Bollywood. That's
Yes,
also,
the big old filmmaking capital of India and all
Yeah.
the dance. I think of the dancing when I think of India because I'm just
Dancing,
amazed
good.
by the movements and the culture, and then the
Yeah.
beautiful gowns and that. Yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah.
things I think when I
The
think of,
makeup.
and then,
Gremlin got one of
Did you
those
really?
saris.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, Gremlin got one.
Okay.
Watch out.
So,
So
what
yeah,
else?
that's what I think of when I think of
Yeah.
India.
Dance, the dresses. Okay.
Bollywood, yeah.
Bollywood. So what about you? What before our trip and
Before
after
the
our
trip, I thought of food. That's my favorite cuisine. Or high population.
Yeah. And what now?
Now I think about the people I met.
Yeah.
Still, I think about food. I ate a lot there,
Uh,
obviously.
Was it
And
as good as you expected? Better?
better.
Yeah.
Better but spicier. So better like the third day. Once I got
Sure.
used to the spice.
Yeah.
And now I think of, if you look at our title, Jugaad, right?
Yeah.
Which means make it work, which is definitely what they do there. They make it work. There's not really a lot of excuses for anything. Even like we were in what are those, not tut-tut, what's it called, like those little trucks?
That those little tricycles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are those called?
Oh, I forgot what they're called, but I'm going
guys-
to show
I
you a
feel like you
picture of
knew it.
that.
Well, we were in one of those and they're in India, so they use Uber too. And we used an Uber to book our little tut-tut, but then the guy told our friend Akshay to cancel that and just pay him cash.
Oh.
And Jugaad, we made it work. We did it.
When I think of India, I think deep. It's a culture that is so deep beyond our imagination. It's one of the oldest culture, and as well, there is something special about this culture that obviously there are conflict everywhere on the planet, but how they are in harmony with their surrounding. Now, before we start, I want to share this picture here. You see that there? That says, it's a minimally invasive spine surgery association of Bharat. Because Indian, they don't call themselves Indians. India was named after British who used the Persian old name Hindustan, variation of that, to make that, because they call themselves Bharat, not India. And India is not one country. India is 100 countries. Even languages.
It seems like hundreds.
Yeah, even languages are very, very different, and they have a lot of things in common with each other, and many different languages, many different religion, many different tradition. Like in some of the states in India, you cannot buy meat. It's just forbidden, or alcohol.
Well, we met a friend in India who doesn't even eat root vegetables. So he doesn't eat carrots, doesn't eat onions, anything like that, because it's against his religion.
Yeah. And I want to show you as well a picture that I took on one of the streets there.
I have a question while you find that picture.
Yeah.
are, in America, and Amanda being a vegetarian, people are always quick to judge diet. What are you eating or what are you not eating? So you say, oh, here, there's a lot of different cultures. Oh, I just don't eat that for my culture. Are they very accepting? Do
Oh
people
my gosh,
even
yeah.
ask, if you just say like, no, thank you, or I
No
don't do
one
that,
cares,
is that
like,
shocking to anyone?
No one cares.
I mean, that's
No.
what I'd expect, but
Yeah. That what I'm going to show actually has bearing on your question.
Okay.
It's actually might make another loop and not only answer your question and answer you why they are that way.
Sure.
So I'm going to share this picture now.
That's my first country I've ever been to where people weren't like, oh my gosh, you're a vegetarian. How do you get your protein? Like literally no
Right.
one.
Probably half
Yeah.
of the country is vegetarian, or
I would say even more probably.
well, no, in some states you cannot buy meat, or
Mhm.
it's very hard to buy meat because the whole religion is based on vegetarianism. And now this picture, Amanda, why am I showing this picture?
Because there were a lot of dogs in India,
Mhm.
and the dogs in India just live there.
It's
Like
cute.
they live there the same way that squirrels live in the
Oh, really?
US. Yeah, like no one bothers them, no one like shoos them away, but at the same time, no one's really petting them or anything. They just live there.
They just live there. And that the ability to just this, and we talked to some of our friends there, say, this is just a way of life for us. There were some cows, they don't really belong to anybody. I saw on the side of the very busy street, 2 cows just peacefully sitting there, and then just this ability to live with the surrounding, I think that's something unique. Not interfere, not like in the United States, the 5 departments should be called for that
Right.
dog, and police will come and try to catch it, and then in something they euthanize the street dogs and so on. They just let them be. They don't mind people, and people don't mind them. As a matter of fact, they told us don't pet them, right?
Yeah.
Now,
Told me.
yeah.
Told me don't pet.
So there is the theory of flight. I'm sure you have heard about flight or the fight distance, right?
right.
Like each individual, each living being has a flight or fight kind of distance.
Okay.
Meaning that if you're that close to each other, either you go away or you fight. Now, for human as well, that flight or fight distance is different in each community. Like for Sweden, that is almost 3 feet or 3.5 feet. You can measure that. You throw a bunch of people and see how close or far they are from each other on average. In India, and what's important is that how much population you can have, how much foxes or rabbits you can have in a place is genetically predetermined. Like in India, there is a reason so many people can live there, like 1.4 billion. 1.4 billion. You cannot put in some places, you cannot put that many people. They just fight, have a war, they kill each other, which humanity
Especially
has done.
here, if you add that many religions,
Oh my-
cultures,
Yeah.
languages, like,
It would be
no.
So the answer to your question, the same reason that they live and let be is the same reason they don't mind if you're vegetarian or you have a different religion.
Or if you're walking barefoot.
If you're walking barefoot, try to do that in the United States, people just won't let you in some places and so on. But I'm not advocating walking barefoot, okay?
I think it's good for you. Walk barefoot.
But this ability to live and let live, I think it's very specific to Indian culture. And the ability that your language is different, yet we are okay. We are okay with that. Now, do not make mistake. Indian is still a very hierarchical society, very class and caste-oriented system, which they are pushing it away. The best I can see that. But the ability to say, okay, you live your life, I live my life. I let the dog just be. I let the cow just, if the cow is in the middle of the street and so on, that people just go around it and, just make it work. That is something truly fantastic. I noticed that, but as well, this Hindu or Buddhist that come from this respect for life.
Yeah.
So let's go back to what you said, Dominic, about what comes to your mind when you hear India. Do you want to repeat that?
Yeah, I think of curry. I mean, I could say food, but I'll be honest, it's curry.
Yeah.
And then also the one cardiothoracic surgeon who is from India.
If you would take all the Indian doctors away from American health system, the American health system would collapse. That comes back. They have a very old tradition in science. In the numeral that 1, 2, 3, 4, they're based on 10 system or numbers. That's a Hindu invention that through Arabs came to us. At the time that there was no civilization in many other places, Indian civilization was high in philosophy, mathematics, and so on. The many basic astronomical, many different concepts, they come actually from India. And that's probably one of the, if not the oldest culture and civilization on the whole planet. So it's not by chance that, a cardiothoracic Indian surgeon. And as well, they have lots of universities that produce high level individual. They don't have our resources, but they have lots of brain power going on. That's a matter of fact, in Bangalore, where we went, it was the Silicon Valley of India.
Yeah, the IT hub.
Yeah,
14 million people.
in one city, 14 million people, twice the population of Minnesota in one city.
Jeez.
Like
That
when
is
I picture that, I picture just like stacked on top of people, like buildings, like what do houses look
No
like?
house. Everyone lives
Right,
in an
it has,
apartment.
it
Yeah.
has to be
Yeah.
stacked high, right?
And
And I
it's-
think also a lot of these apartments have multi-families in them.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I think a lot of times in India, people take care of their parents or
Sure.
their grandparents.
Do you think that takes a lot of like self-identity, self-understanding to basically see all these other people going about their lives and just kind of go, that's fine. That doesn't bother me. Like I'm just myself.
Speaking from like I grew up in a tiny town where everybody knew everybody, and I did one thing and somebody knew I had a new shirt before I did, and then I moved here where it is the first time not one person knows it's my birthday when I walk into Walmart on September 2nd.
Right.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's mind blowing, for a while it was, now it's lovely. I love it. I could never go anywhere. Like I'd look like,
Peaceful now.
unpleasant walking into every store. Nobody knows who I am. Nobody's going to see me again. And there's that sense of peace so that I don't have to worry. So that's something that I've become accustomed to that I wasn't. So I've seen both sides, and I personally like the second side a lot
Right.
more.
Yeah.
I'm just going to
You
say
have
that.
more identity because no one really cares what you're doing.
And you don't care what anybody else is doing. Like
No.
there's a sense of peace in that too.
Oh yeah, I could not care less.
Well, no, we should as well differentiate between not caring. It's not that if you see somebody in need, they don't care. It's about that they don't mind for you to be different in any ways.
Correct.
Yeah.
If
Okay.
I see Amanda walking down with 16,000 tattoos, just because I don't have any tattoos, doesn't mean that I'm looking at her up and down and trying to figure
Yeah.
her life
Right.
out.
Yeah.
I just
Mhm.
say, oh.
Or there's so many different religions. A lot of people have markings and
Sure.
so on. I don't think people are looking at other people saying they have a different religion than me.
So,
or anything.
Yeah, and everything you can think is hip or is new and so on, they had it long time ago. Like
Probably
men-
true.
many men having earring, part of their culture, having nose ring, part of their culture,
Mhm.
having tattoos and marking, part of
Mhm.
their culture. Gay, they have a huge gay, it's part of their, they're very tolerant culture that considers lots of different aspects of life, just being a just different way of life. Let's come back though to your second thing, spice, curry. So,
Mhm.
Amanda, describe what we are looking at and what it is. And
That's the Palace of Bangalore. The name has changed so many times. I don't know for sure what the
that's
original
exactly the
name.
point I'm going to make.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know for sure what
I'm
the
sure
original
this
name is.
picture doesn't do it any justice.
No
That
justice.
looks beautiful, even if
Hang
with
on.
this picture.
Yeah, I was gonna
inside-
say I like this photo.
The inside's really beautiful too. And actually it's interesting because there's a lot of
Wow,
castles
how
or
they-
palaces
Oh, who are
in
they?
India. And actually when the Europeans came, they came and took all of the castles and started living in them.
Oh,
So
well.
instead sometimes people let other humans, not like royalty, just rent out parts of the palace to live in.
I've picked something up by looking at these pictures. He only smiles when he's with you. So I don't know what he was talking about before, but
Yeah, you see
all of his selfies, he looks so sad. No
Oh, that's a nice picture.
smiles, So I think you need to take more group selfies.
Thank you. I agree.
So, this palace is the palace that there were many generation of royalties or maharajas lived, but for a big time part of Indian history, they were just puppets of British Empire. Curry is the blessing and curse of India, because you may or may not know that British food is very bland and
Wait, sorry. Speaking of British food and India, actually the national dish of Britain is butter chicken.
which is the Indian food.
Like, what does that tell you?
Nice.
So
I did.
Unsalted butter too.
It's bland. No, I'm just kidding. No, I've heard Indian food in the UK is good.
and as well, so the spices, something that you can add to your food, and it makes it just having different flavor and so on. The spices for a very, very long time came from India. As a matter of fact, most of British wealth comes from India through spice trade. They created a company called East Indian Company, which was practically an extension of the British government, and lots of rich people were practically went to a place in India, got the resources, and then they put down the revolts, killed lots of people, established a puppet there that by all practical purpose helped them to get the resources from India, mostly spices, and then bring it to Europe. And practically most of British wealth was based on the spice trades with East Indian Company. They tried to do something similar in the West, but West Indies Company, because they called the Indian Native American Indian. They have different reason for that. It didn't work as well as, because at that time, America, actually, it was a doctrine, that the Monroe Doctrine, that US will not allow British to come and ravage anything west of the Atlantic, because we should ravage them. Why should England come and ravage them? Okay, so it's a sad history behind that. So curry is the blessing and curse of India. That the reason curry comes to your mind is we went there, we took the resources, we brought to Europe, and through England and Europe, it obviously expanded to the rest of the world. So that is the history behind
I
that.
was gonna say that. I go to random, restaurants of all ethnicities, and they got curry on their menus.
Yeah, Thai.
But that comes from comes from India.
Yeah, it was one of my favorite things to eat in Japan. I was
Well,
Yeah.
exactly.
There are
That's what
other
I said.
things.
I know I've had curry a
Yeah.
couple different times at
Yeah.
non-Indian
Right. That's
restaurants.
always when we go to the Thai place, I always get the curry there.
But it gets even a little worse. It wasn't just curry or spices. It was tea, it was cotton, it was lots of other resources. Like
Silk is huge there.
silk is huge there, but they got the silk.
chocolate or cocoa beans or something. there,
Yeah.
too. I don't know.
All this thing, it is a very warm climate, lots of water, everything grows. Contrary to just England, where you have that 100 days in a year, sun and so on. So, and as well, in all that region, in like tea, like it's even, it get even worse. Opium, they got opium from Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, all of that. These boundaries didn't really exist to the extent we are understanding now. A little farther west, when it become a little more drier, what you get there? Puppies. And what you get from puppies? Opium. Have you heard of opium war in China, where they went and they practically made everybody addicted to the. So if you're British, you may want to tune off at this point. They went there, they created tension between these different small kingdoms, And that is they make them fight, and then they came and they governed them, took their resources. They took resources from one country, exported to another country, like with the opium and so on, and then resources from other country brought in, and they created lots of wealth
Yeah.
back home. And the effect of that still seen today after that many years, because India is truly a rising star, but there is still a lot of poverty there.
Mhm.
And it's in front of your eyes. You
Yeah.
should not dismiss that. What do you think about that when I say there's a lot of poverty there? You want to say your experience that we had there?
Oh, well, just the cost of labor there is really low. So of course there's going to be a lot of poverty. We were obviously staying at a really nice hotel because we were there for the conference. And that hotel employed 5 to 10 people for every one job. For instance, I was standing waiting for him to come from something, and people are coming up to me and they're like, "Can I help you, ma'am? What do you need, ma'am?" Like,
Oversaturated
I'm
with
just
help.
waiting. Yeah, there's help for everything. I had my hands full carrying things up to my my hotel room. Staff came and grabbed my things. They would not let me hold my own stuff. So it's very
Do they expect tips?
no. There's no tips. When at least
I gave
not-
one person a tip at the beginning, but no, it's not a tip. It's about like you weren't there, but I put a video out there that they're trying to lift up one C-arm into the
Oh, I saw that
Truck.
TikTok.
I saw it, yeah.
there are 12 people, just 2 people are doing the job, and the 10 other people are just advising, just
Mhm.
grabbing and so on. For if you can, that is almost, I feel like, why not use 12 people if you can use 2 people to do a job?
Well,
Why not?
but at least those people have jobs because
Yeah,
with
that's
so many
important.
people,
The thing that find so mind blowing here,
Mm-hmm.
because you can just tell the difference night and
Yeah.
day, is you had 12 people who you said, well, 2 people could have done the job. Well, 2 people could have done the job, and here, if you underpay people, what are the other 10 gonna do? They're gonna go stand in the corner. They're not even gonna try to look
Yeah,
busy
yeah,
at
yeah.
that
so
point.
true,
They're
so
get-
true.
They're not gonna do it.
Yeah,
So that's why I say, I go,
Yeah.
if you told me, hey, if you guys all help, I'm tipping every single person who helps. Oh, all 12 of them would be
Yeah.
helping. So
Right.
that's why I have to ask, they genuinely just have the drive of, this is my job, regardless of how many people it takes.
right.
It kind of blows my mind. Like, I kind of just,
But-
is that real? Like, do they genuinely do that? Like, unmotivated by money? Yeah.
But it's like maybe they have to, or they
Right.
get fired because they can
That's-
be replaced so quickly.
It's fair.
Yeah, because I was gonna also say I can't imagine what level of government strain that takes to try and help govern that many people, especially if you're going to try and financially support people when there's such a
Really
high
HR
poverty level.
departments. Do they have HR departments? you
I'm
think?
sure.
Like, with all those employees?
This is the tricycle you were talking
Oh,
about.
it's cute. That's
It
cute.
is cute. There's better photos though.
Yeah, and I'm sure there are better photos, but this is the tricycle that here, as you see. Let me share the screen with the viewer.
Is it
And-
battery operated?
Got
No,
something
they
like
have
gotcha,
pedals.
something
it's
like
like
it.
a bike.
Mhm.
Yeah, and Amanda had a really blast.
I loved it.
that,
I would
you know.
love that
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
It
and it's
seamless.
open,
I
you
prefer
get the
it for
air.
a car.
Yeah, but let's as well, be very honest about this. We saw as well through poverty. You want to talk about that girl that you thought is 14 and I thought is 10 years old at 1 a.m. when we were coming back?
Well, I mean, just like any large city, there's going to be people that are unhoused and people that are maybe on the streets begging. But the difference is in India versus the US. If you go to LA, you see the street of homeless people and they're all laying there. A lot of them are mentally, like, they have mental health issues. But here, in India, the people that were homeless were at least trying to maybe sell stuff. Like the girl who he's talking to, I had my window down in the car. She came in, she put flowers in the car, and she's like, "Here, these are for you."
It's a
Which is
scam to
yeah, right.
She
commit you
wants
to
me to
get
hold
money.
them. Yeah. So I had to tell her, like, no, I can't do
Ew.
that. Like, I need to roll up my window if you're gonna do it and everything. So
So
and
you were,
even the young boy, we were standing there, and this young boy followed us for blocks.
he wouldn't say take no for an answer.
No, he kept saying, please, please, like,
I gotta assume they did this to tourist type people,
They
right?
test
They're
everyone, but for sure, yeah, with a
Well, I
tourist.
look like an Indian. I'm not. You are different. By the way,
Wait, what?
we went to a
don't-
club. We went to a club. Everybody wanted to take a picture with.
When I, yeah,
with,
it
she
actually was my
was
first.
treated like a. She was treated like a celebrity there
When I was leaving the club, people were lining up to take photos.
with you.
Yeah.
She
But I
ate
think
that
that's all
up.
we have time for. That's all we have time for today.
Well,
So
I wanted to mention a few more things. You know, these people, this poverty in India is truly wealth and disparity in wealth and poverty issue. Whereas in the United States, the homelessness is a mental health issue more than anything else.
Mm.
These people go work in the day, but they don't get enough money to have it. And we were told by a friend, Dr. Gupti there, that no, they're working. We are just not enough for them to really have a house. And then they have this homelessness issue there. Now, as well, I want to talk about the true opportunity for India. The recipe for growth is obviously education. There's a lot of that there. And additional to that, access to affordable labor.
Mhm.
That's a big issue. In the United States, it's just it's become unaffordable as an entrepreneur. It's very hard for me to be able to pay everybody, and because everybody want to have a certain living standard and so on.
mhm.
That in India is still this disparity as well create a lot of opportunity that you can put a company together.
Yeah, I
But
think
you
in
wouldn't
the
be able to
US,
do
there's
that.
a lot more genuine greed
Yeah.
than in India. So even if someone, yeah, I'm not even gonna go there, but I think in India, people are trying to live. In the US, people are trying to live better.
Yeah, but no, let me to put it this way, that this access to affordable labor is a huge opportunity for India that we won't have here. So, and I'm saying to everybody that if the time to right time to buy Bitcoin is when it was 30 cents, not when it's $70,000. And India is right now there. I mean, we are going to invest there because we believe that it has all the ingredient for growth.
Well, yeah, and not to mention that, but India is growing really fast too because they stopped working with China. So India does not take any imports from China. Everything there has to be made
Wow.
there. Yeah, that was huge for them. And their economy took a hit when they first stopped collaborating with China. But now they're starting to grow so much more because they're making their
Internally.
own, internally.
Hmm.
Yeah, they're
I
making
have
their
a
own things.
question. At what age do you think they start working there? Like
Well,
child labor?
I
Like
would
I'm not going
say-
into child labor.
There
laws,
is, I don't
I
think
would
there's
say
a
as
limit.
child,
but
yeah.
like, when I started working at a young age, like my parents instilled working,
Yeah, same.
didn't have a choice in my household. Well, there, I gotta imagine that takes on a whole new meaning. So I was just curious, like at what age you saw like 5-year-olds or 10-year-olds out there hustling already, or
Yeah, I would say there's like 10-year-olds out there hustling.
Yeah, obviously we were in the city and we didn't have too much. We were in a upscale hotel.
Sure,
And
sure.
we were in a university with highly educated people there and so on and so forth. But yeah, I think but I see there's a lot of poverty issues still there. But I see based on data how far they have come. It's amazing how far they have come. And this is a picture of our, after our cadaver lab. Sometimes we do cadaver lab here,
Mhm.
and we have like 1 or maximum 2 cadaver. They had like 15 cadaver, and it was hustling. It was like this education system there. It was truly amazing.
You know what? Maybe he does look kind of Indian because it took me a long time to find him. I was looking at that picture,
It's a big group.
and then I thought, oh gosh, maybe he's onto something. For once.
So, but it is amazing that how good their education system is,
Mhm.
and how many bright minds are there, and we
Mhm.
are benefiting from that.
Mhm.
Oh, for
Have
sure.
been for a long time.
Well, and their goal is for the US to benefit from that because think about it. When we were in India, everything was in English.
Yeah.
Just like in Oman, all of the buildings were in English. There was actually a Target headquarters, a Lowe's headquarters.
Mm.
Mhm.
Everything was in English.
But as well in many different places, they speak different languages. Sometimes English is the language they communicate among themselves.
Yeah.
That's very interesting because I know one of the bigger issues too with countries that are, moving themselves forward, and especially a country like this where resources are such a hot thing, putting all that resource into education and then expecting so many of them to leave your country. In a lot of standards, that would be
That's a big
wasted resources. But it sounds like it's not.
One
Yeah, that's
amazing
definitely-
thing that has been happening in the last 10, 20 years, mostly 10 years with India, is that people who come from India, immigrated to the United States, they get educated and they go back to India.
They take their
The
expertise.
reverse immigration. Until now, the brightest mind there, they grow up there, they go to university, they come and get more education here, but then they stay here, create companies. We benefit from them. Now, like our friend came here, he's a neurosurgeon now. Neurosurgeon, he can have a very good life here, but decided to go back because the quality of life there for him is much higher there. This is a very good sign for the world, for the India, not a good sign for US though, because we need those experts here, but we can win as well in a different way. I think a strong India, strong and prosperous India is a good business partner for US. In the long run, I think it's a good thing, but in the short run, definitely we have to be worried about that our best and the brightest, after they have been here, they have been educated, now they're emigrating back to their countries. That this is happening mostly for India and China, but we are talking about 3 billion people population.
Well, it's
You have to be worried about it.
It's the scarcity mindset in the
Yeah.
US that I think we have, that in the US we feel that everything is so limited and it has to be only benefiting us, where it's really hard for Americans to realize that other countries doing well is something good for the entire world.
Yes.
Yeah, we don't really want a monopolar world. We don't necessarily want the one power because that's how we get the British Empire, you know?
Yeah.
That's not what we want.
Well, that is a
Depends who you
thing
ask.
that you say that the monopolar, the world used to be a two main powers, Soviet Union and US. And after the fall of the Soviet Union, we were the only players. We were the only game in town. Now, we have to come to just agreement that in the future we will be still very strong, but we won't be the only power. And that is part of the thing when I hear in our Congress, I'm sorry to say that some of these idiots trying to fight China, trying to limit China's power in the world. These are cultures that we didn't have anything in the United States. United States didn't exist. The whole thing wasn't discovered when they were at the highest level of civilization. They are just having their natural place in the world order, and we have to come to the conclusion that we are not the only game in town anymore, and we have to there is no way around that. India, China, and some other cultures are going to rise up, and it's going to be a multi-center world, multi-faceted world that we can play along and set up the rules of the game and benefit from that, or we can isolate ourselves as we have been doing in the next 10 years. We will benefit if we are part of the game than try to limit the rise of the new powers, which are the old powers.
True.
Mm.
Well, Jinx, you owe me a soda.
No.
Thank you guys for watching. This was Essence of Life, India, the Rising Star. I'm Amanda Armagast.
I'm Melissa Haber.
Dominic Moore.
Before we go, though, say what that Jugaad means.
I did already, but Jugaad means make it work.
Make it work, whatever you can. And in this country, this is important. Thank you very much.
Be safe. Do you want to say something else?
No, I will say Takrabas for